Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Biga, this episode's host of The Unstoppable You. And I'm interviewing the host and producer of this show, my good friend, Amy Schadt. And I'm really happy to allow her to talk with you today to share, her vision behind this show, and also really for you to get to know her. If you're just meeting her, it's important for you to know who she is and why she is here today hosting this powerful event, and why you should definitely get in contact with her and stay in her world if you're already part of her world. So Amy, hi, welcome. I'm not going to say welcome because this is kind of your house, right?
Thank you, Christelle. Yes, I'm happy to be interviewed by you. I know that this is part of your expertise, so I'm excited to sit in the hot seat with you.
It's my pleasure to interview. Thank you for the opportunity. All right. So Amy Schadt is a keynote speaker and women's empowerment coach who reconnects women with their passions, helps them break free from the stories that keep them stuck, and awakens their inner genius and confidence so they can live an unstoppable life. She's the co-host and producer of The Unstoppable You, a monthly live event where she gathers an eclectic group of experts to support women in their healing journey in their life and relationships. And today, Amy is going to talk on the topic, we get radical with acceptance to become the visionary of your life. Amy is a women's empowerment coach and a powerful speaker. So, Amy, tell us a little bit about yourself beyond the bio that I just read.
So yes, thank you for that, Christelle. Yeah. So we're talking, I'm going to take you on my one journey that I've been on, which is going through a divorce. And my inspiration behind this summit was to really support women after that journey and to make it a transformational journey, because that's how I've experienced divorce. For me, I walked into marriage understanding that I was like part of this bigger institution. Okay. And I realized quite quickly that I didn't really like the person I was becoming in that marriage. I felt like there was too much, like he was making really bad decisions about what he was doing with his life and with money. And I felt a hostage to all of his bad decisions. So what happened in that marriage is that's where I'm thankful for that marriage. I'm thankful for that marriage because that marriage sparked my spiritual transformational journey that I've been on since then. And that was 2001, I got married. And I say this because sometimes, many of you might have entered marriage and feeling like this is uncomfortable. This does not feel right for me. This is hard. This is not what I really signed up for, and I really want to speak to those women and talk about radical acceptance and how that really helped me in my personal healing journey. Okay. So one thing about radical acceptance is the first thing is that you have to recognize that something's off, which I did in my own marriage. I was like, this does not feel right, and I think before that I was trying to change him, trying to do things, trying to do things right, do everything right. And as we know, just because you do something right doesn't mean that it's going to work out, especially in relationships. And I felt, and I remember saying to myself, I'm doing everything right, and it's still not working. That is where I went into radical acceptance. And in that moment of that truth, I surrendered and I realized I cannot depend on him to fix this. I need to go inside and work on me. And that's what I started to do. That's when I started my healing journey. And then 3 years later, I left. I decided to leave the marriage because I came to the point of having a bigger vision for myself. Mm-hmm. and wanting more and understanding this is not good enough, right? And all of these truths are in radical acceptance. So my journey, that divorce journey has, I've had many journeys after that, but that was a big spark for me. And this is what I want to speak into also for women, is like, this is a big spark. It's like this divorce, or you're thinking about divorce, is like the first spark before the flame starts going, and that flame is that flame that's inside of you. That flame that burns, that knows that this, oh man, this is not really what I signed up for, and I want something more.
Wow. Yeah, that's really powerful. And one thing that really caught my attention, and that I know many people do, is that you said at first you thought you could change him. And how many times we have, thought the same, thinking maybe sometimes even before getting into the marriage, you already see red flags, you already see behaviors that really don't sit well with you. But some way, somehow, women have this tendency to think that they can fix things, they can change people, he's going to change, he's going to get better, he's going to have, I will change him. And then we think maybe through yelling at him, through telling him what to do, through, getting angry, through trying to manipulate and all those things, he's going to change. And it's really powerful that you were able to understand that first of all, maybe you can't, but it's not even your responsibility. Can you speak into that?
Yes. And, for us as women, in our culture, the way we grew up, what was modeled for us, and even my generation, I mean, Father Knows Best was like the TV show we watched. I mean, all these things where, these beliefs were put in us about what marriage was supposed to look like, our role in marriage. And then growing up, seeing my own parents in a marriage and their families in a marriage and what that looked like. So it's not our fault. That's like something that was modeled for us. And I think I also got married at 32. So I had this understanding of autonomy on some level. So I think what was the real thing for me also was I didn't like who I was becoming. I think that was like what really set me off into a radical acceptance and not trying to change him, because I felt like it was damaging me and who I was. And for those of you who don't know me, it's like I've been an artist, a dancer, a performer my whole life. So I felt that shift of like, ooh, this is not really who I am. I'm a creator and a creative. I am not someone who suppresses anyone, even myself. So I would say to those women, like, that is just how we grew up. And I think the key is to really go to that first step of radical acceptance of like, wait a minute, we're all on our own path. And I might need to let go of these expectations and just take care of myself right here.
And even after the marriage, right? Sometimes we leave situations, but emotionally we are still there, right? We are still in the blaming and pointing fingers. So that's what I mean by we are still emotionally in that situation that we maybe physically left, maybe through a divorce or a separation, whatever it is. But emotionally, we are still attached to it because we are still trying to make it about the other person. We are still giving them that power to be the reason why we feel the way we feel, to be the reason why we are happy or things didn't work out and all of that. So can you speak into that? Is it really a good place to be?
No, of course not. It keeps you hostage, and someone who values freedom, that's like my number one value, freedom, that people like us, that keeps us hostage. So the quicker we can release that, the better. So here you are, you're at radical acceptance of like, this happened, that happened. This is how it is. Okay. I am now divorced. Okay. That's just how it is. The vision comes in, being the visionary of your life comes in. This is where we introduce that of like, okay, this is where you're at, but who do you want to be? This is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to, who do you want to be? Do you want to be peaceful and happy? Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want to be a better friend? Like, who do you actually want to be? Because many of us at Radical Acceptance are here, and it's just a fact. It's like, it's almost like a surrender, a release when you're like, okay, I'm divorced. All right. But what I want to be is this, this, and this. I want peace in my life. But what happens over here at this level, there's all kinds of stories that are keeping us stuck. So you might remember that story of him having an affair, that story of him or her lying to you, that story of you being unhappy, right? So the stories are here. The stories are here in this radical acceptance of what happened. Our job to release them is to go back in there, and you can reframe it. You can empathize. You can go in there and start poking holes on how certain you are that they are wrong, and how certain you are that you are right. And many of us, that's a hard thing. But the thing about it is, the quicker you start poking holes in those stories that you're telling yourself as to why you can't have something or why you can't be something, the quicker you will be free from that story so you can actually move forward. I truly believe that until we get to like our understanding of something, and then start poking holes in it. Start like reframing it. Start bringing empathy into it. Start bringing understanding in a bigger context of life. Because then you can release it as you move forward. So that's like the radical acceptance into the vision, but you have to release over here. There has to be a release of a story.
Okay, so when I hear that, because I love to speak in terms of power, right? Who has the power in the situation? Anytime, and I usually have that conversation, and sometimes people get triggered, but it's a healing process to ask that question. And maybe that's part of what you mean by reframing the past. Looking at the situation, and every time you think, oh, it happened because he cheated or she cheated or he lied or she lied, whatever, or because they didn't do this or that, that's why we are here now. In that situation, that conversation, who holds the power? The person who is at fault. If you think it's not your fault, it's just not in your power. Not to say it's your fault, but just for you to be like, in this situation, am I in a place where I'm a victim here? Because a victim is not in their power. If you see yourself as a victim, it's a phase. But do you want to be a victim and drag that story? Or you want to be in your power and decide that this is not going to define me. I'm not going to walk around as a divorced woman or person because I'm more than that. Is that part of what you mean by reframing the past?
Yeah, so I'm sure many of us have had conversations with people who are speaking about the divorce as if it happened yesterday, but it was actually 15 years ago. Like, I'm sure many of us, have experienced that. And it's not only about divorce, it's about many things. It could have been the argument you had with your sister 10 years ago. But what happens is the energy and the anger is as if it just happened. That means it is living inside of you. It is this thing that, man, like I talk about that match, that spark, and then the flame, that can just, one word, boom, it's like right there. How many of us can relate to that? It's like you just say one thing to someone and they just, the anger shows up. Now, think about that. I mean, you've been carrying that negative anger with you the whole time. Now that other person, they don't care. They just don't care. And if you throw that anger at them, they don't care. So yes, when you are in that state and thinking about, oh my God, how much do I want to carry this anger with me? Because it's just causing harm. It's causing mental harm, physical harm. And when you go back and you reframe, you reframe the situation. So you could even write out, I always say, write out a situation as you believed it happened. Okay. This is a powerful exercise. You write it out just as you believed it happened. Your truth. Then go in there and start rewriting it and reframing it. Well, what could have I done differently in that situation? I know it's hard to hear for some people, but really, what could have you done? What could have you done differently? Or you can say, well, you know, what is that person's history? Like I found a lot of empathy with my ex-husband. To release him. I mean, I wanted to release him. So I found more empathy around that situation. And my understanding empathy was like, you know what? I really don't want this person that I'm supposed to love to change and be unhappy. That was a big thing for me. I don't want to be with someone who's not happy in their life because I'm demanding them to do something. That really released me, right? That I was able to be released from that, from him. That was very powerful for me. And so powerful, I just started focusing on me and making myself happy. And then I was able to exit that situation. And I have no bad feelings about this person.
And I love what you just said because it's so powerful. Do I want this person to change and be unhappy? Because sometimes we don't think that way. We just think they need to change in order for this to work. They need to act this way, this particular way that I want them to in order for this to work. But if we shift and we put ourselves in that position and we have somebody expecting us to be someone different, change and act a certain way, how would that make us feel? I mean, let's be honest here. Nobody wants to be told what to do or who to be. It doesn't feel good to anybody. So if we find ourselves in a place where we really expect someone else to be a certain way, or change, or maybe it's time to stop and do what you did and wonder, what do I really want here? The person to become the exact thing that I have in my mind, or I want this person to be happy. And if this behavior makes that person happy, why do I want the person to change? And if that behavior doesn't make me happy, why am I here? Is that right?
I mean, that's how I do it, because I feel like when it doesn't happen that way is when people get secretive about what they're actually doing behind the marriage. Right? And this goes for anything in any relationship. So last night I was talking to my client and she's telling me about a situation with this new man she's thinking about going on a date with. And he's quite demanding. he's quite asking inappropriate questions. And she's believing, oh, I'm just learning from this experience. I'm like, just know that what you're going to get today, you'll get 5 years from now, tenfold. Mm-hmm. And how do you feel when this is happening? Do you feel good, or do you feel, what do you feel? She's like, I feel bad. Then why are you trying to fix it? Why are you trying to move forward? Mm-hmm. You know, we need to tap into how our body's feeling as we move forward in our life and making new decisions.
And I think this is important because if, you know, somebody in the audience already out of the marriage and, you know, it's the end of the year, thinking about next year, maybe it's already open for a relationship or meeting somebody. This is an important conversation to pay attention to the things without trying to ignore it, like your client was trying to do, coming up with excuses of, oh, I'm going to learn from this experience, but is it really what I want? Because sometimes we find ourselves in situations not because we didn't know it wasn't going to work, but because we refuse to see the evidence that it wasn't for us. Not that that person is bad, but if it doesn't feel good, that means not for us. But some way, somehow, we want to justify why we are still putting ourselves in that situation. Right. So I think it's important now that maybe it's time to move on, to start over again, to make sure I'm allowing the things that really make me happy, or I'm just ignoring the signs and giving excuses to put myself again in a situation that doesn't feel good. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah. And that's the second thing of one of the second pillars of radical acceptance is that you become the assessor. Not the fixer or not the judger. You just become the assessor. That means you mentally and emotionally separate yourself a bit, and you kind of think about separation and above. So it's like you're using your mind's eye to look down at the situation as you're having it. And then you're asking questions and you're assessing. Do I feel good? How does my body feel when he's speaking? Do I feel good about this job? Do I feel good about myself? But it's like this, once you practice it, it becomes like this new best friend who's always looking out for you. You know what I mean? Because she is always above you and kind of looking over and taking care of you and assessing the situation. That means we're not diving into the situation. We're like, is this really what I want? We get to ask those questions. Is this really what I want? Does this feel good? Is this even where I thought I wanted to go? Right? I'm a women's empowerment coach. So all of my coaching is on you. All of my emphasis, all of my questions and thoughts and wonderings are all surrounded about you. I do not care who else is around you. That is part of my coaching. So as she's talking about this other, I don't care about what he does, what he says, what he doesn't do. How are you feeling? What do you want to say? Who do you want to be in this relationship? In this interaction. And I think when we do that, we don't, as we make up stories, well, this happened to him as a child. So what's that got to do with anything? Why are you making up stories about his behavior or other people's behavior? What do you want? Who are you? Does it feel right? You get to do that as part of radical acceptance, as the assessor.
And that's really a big one for women, because we have this instinct of trying to, especially if we know a story, like you were mentioning, oh, this happened to him as a child, so that's why. So when you meet a woman who is in that space of, trying to explain why she's allowing things, because now she's trying to create a new life. So want to make sure that she's creating the life that she really wants. So if she finds herself in that space where she wants to put herself second after she has taken care of someone else's needs and understood someone else more than she understands her need, because guilt is a big thing also for women. I feel bad for this person. Oh my gosh, I feel sorry for this person. Because I do feel bad or I feel sorry, now what I want doesn't matter that much. My focus was going to be on making that person happy, making that person feel good. So what can you say to that?
Yeah, so a couple of things. Like in some of my clients that are dating, getting to know people, new people, they come up with these stories. I said, you don't know them. Stop doing that to them, because stories not only keep us stuck, it actually allows other people to be stuck in our sphere. So oftentimes I say to my, you don't know him. How can you make that assessment? Let's just get it right out there. You don't know him. And that's okay. Like, trust, knowing someone means you have to spend time with them. It means that you get to slow down and have that journey with someone, and not just say, accept someone at face value. You're missing out. You're missing out because you're putting stories on them. You're putting stories on yourself, and then you put stories on the relationship, which then creates the breakup. And I would say to ladies, I know that's a big one for us. I feel sorry for them. Stop doing that. That's not serving them. Like, that doesn't serve anyone, to feel sorry for someone. If you want to go in there and help them, what in their need, whatever that is, that's empowerment. Feeling sorry for someone is not empowerment. Taking action and helping someone, whatever it is, if you want to help them, that is empowerment, taking action, which is, as we know, your radical acceptance here, your vision here. The only thing that closes that gap is action.
So, okay, now we are really getting clear on the importance of knowing what you want and sticking to it, making sure, assessing along the way, paying attention to how you feel about things, pay attention to what you really want. So that comes down to really getting clear on your vision, right? What it is that you want, creating that vision for maybe the next relationship or the next job or the next business endeavor, whatever that looks like, for that vision for you. Can you give us 3 ways, to create that vision in a way that really allows us to go for it?
Yeah. So I always say reality is overrated. And when we invest too much time in our day-to-day reality, we are stuck. We're in survival mode. That does not allow for creativity, because we are at eye level. And we as women are very creative beings. And I hear, I'm not creative. Yes, you are. You are. And especially if you're a mother, you are so creative. You're creative with your time management, with your scheduling, you're creative with your children, the food.
I have to cook something different.
I mean, please start embracing that, the mothers out there. So I create a vision. I have 3 ways to create a vision. So one of the ways is, when I was in a relationship with a man who had 3 kids, an ex-wife and an ex-girlfriend, I came up with like a big umbrella vision. The big umbrella vision is, I want peace, right? So that was my vision for that. I couldn't get too detailed because it was so big. So my daily vision in that transition into this, combined family was, I want peace. I want this to be a peaceful experience for everybody, for myself, So every interaction I had, every decision I made was for peace. So you can do that. I have a downloadable, but that's like a big umbrella vision. And then there's another vision of the big detailed vision. And the big detailed vision I did for my business. I want, a 3-level business. I want to make this amount of money. Creating this thing bigger than me. And that's when you know what you want, what's next for you, that's easier to do. That was also scary because that meant I had to show up for myself and show up for my dreams, which is, most women weren't asked, what's your dream? What do you truly desire? What do you truly want? Right? When most of us were not asked that as children. So creating a big vision is very scary for most of us, which is why I do 3 ways. Mm-hmm. And the third way is to really, who do you want to be? Which we've been speaking into. Who do you want to be today? Do you want to be confident? Do you want to be sexy? Do you want to be thorough? Do you want to be detailed? Do you want to be efficient? Who do you want to be today? You can create those visions today. And I also do an embodiment exercise on that specific aspect of living. Who do you want to be right now? And when you start, implement wherever you are in your life. I mean, some of us are so overwhelmed. I just want to find a little happiness. I want to be happy today. Can we find some happiness today? That just putting it outside of your reality creates space for you to find it. So vision is really important. And I was not a big, I used to, people like, what's your goals? I'm like, I don't believe in goals, but vision, I believe in vision because it's embodiment. You start to embody and feel, and that becomes your drive. So those are the 3 ways that I work with vision. And I know that's my downloadable gift. Can I speak? Are we at that time?
Yes, please, because those 3 steps are so important. And it's really, if you have something that can help the audience, I think they will love it.
Yes. So that's Design Your Unstoppable Vision is your downloadable gift that has these 3 different ways. And then the anchoring of the vision, which is the why, but this is more, I forget, I think, I had an expert on Ivy. I can't remember her last name, Ivy Marie, but she really brought this to attention of to really anchor your vision. It needs to be important, like an inner importance, an outer importance, could be a house, it could be a job, and then for someone else. So that vision really you need to kind of anchor those 3 things to really start embodying it and making it important to you. Because oftentimes we give our vision away. We give our desires away without even thinking. We think other people are more important than us. And that is untrue. You are the most important person on this earth.
Say that again, because I can hear the moms here thinking, how about my kids? Say that again.
Yeah, but you are the most important person on this earth. You are the visionary. You are the change maker. You are the thing that radiates out. So you want to radiate out love, peace, community, right? You want to radiate out, whatever you want to radiate out is where you really want to put that focus, because it is you.
It all starts with you. And if you don't put yourself first, I promise you, nobody will. And probably that's why we have moms usually with a lot of resentment. After all I've sacrificed for you, after all I've done for you, nobody sees me, nobody appreciates me, because sometimes we do things with the expectation that people will love us more than, enough to kind of make up for the love we didn't give ourselves. So that's why it's so important to understand that putting you first is not selfish. It's probably the biggest act of love that you can have for the people around you.
Listen, when you're healthy, everyone else, you know, it really creates growth. When you are moving from a space of clarity and confidence and peace, everybody wins. Everybody wins. This whole earth wins. Your energy, you are one person, it goes to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. I mean, we can effectively, who we are can effectively, in one day, have a chain reaction to probably 5 to 10 people. If we set someone off in a bad mood, they're going to set someone off in a bad mood. You know, so it's important that we, you know, we really embrace who we are. And as I said, I was a women's empowerment coach. That is like, for me, my passion. That's like, I don't care about anyone else. I care about you.
Yes. And you care about us so much that you put together this beautiful event. So thank you so much, Amy. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview, because I think what you just shared is freeing. Some of the things probably we need to sit with it and really reassess how we feel about hearing that we come first. Sometimes we say it, but do we really put ourselves first every day at any given moment? Do we put ourselves first, or do we still have a story of, yes, but that's selfish? If that makes us a little bit uncomfortable, maybe we need to download the free gift that Amy, you know, gracefully offered. So go for it, download it, and make sure that you really tap within yourself. And while you are creating that vision, you are not triggered or uncomfortable when you put yourself first, when you make yourself a priority. And if that's the case, Amy is your lady. Amy, any final word before we end this interview?
No, I just want to say thank you, Christelle, for for having this experience with me. And for everybody out there, I hope that you went on a ride with me in radical acceptance and to become the visionary of your life, because you are the visionary of your life.
Thank you so much. Yes, you are the visionary of your life. And we hope this will help you create that vision for yourself.